Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of the P&B Sports Show, your home for informed analysis, engaging football conversation. I am your host, Abel Sunday. We turn our attention to one of football's biggest talking points, José Mourinho returning to the Real Madrid dugout, bringing his trademark discipline, tactical brilliance, and winning mentality. But perhaps even more intriguing is the reported leadership shake-up, with Federico Valverde handed the permanent captain armband and Vinicius Jr named vice captain. Could this signal the dawn of a new era at the Santiago Bernabeu? And what would it mean for the club's established hierarchy and future ambition? To help us unpack it all down is our guest from Port Harcourt, the ever insightful Jackson Caleb, who will share his thoughts on Mourinho's potential impact, the leadership choice, and whether this is the right direction for Los Blancos. Stay with us as we separate facts from speculation and explore what could be a fascinating new chapter in Real Madrid history. Grab your teacup because P&B Sport start now. No gimmicks, no distractions, just pure unfiltered sport action.
Diogo Dalot, he pulls the ball then. That is outstanding!
Make the P&B Sport Show part of your weekday routine.
Philogene in the penalty area, twisting and turning. He tries to flick it towards goal.
Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. Make the P&B Sports Show part of your weekday routine.
Into Osimhen.
30 minutes of breaking headlines, in-depth analysis, match preview, and one explosive hour of fearless opinion, heated debate, and non-stop football conversation. Weekdays at 9 a.m., Saturdays at 1 p.m. Stay ahead of the game.
Tired of the snow? Tired of the bad TV? 388-7277. Free TV. Digital TV for free. Brought to you by NBC.
You don't tire for this picture. We are make you follow Unorodo. Nigeria don't go digital with free TV. Over 100 channels they with you. Sport, news, and better entertainment for your own language. No matter where you dey, whether for city or whether for village, the satellite signal they reach every corner of Nigeria from day one. No monthly payment again. Once you get to get free to air decoder, you don't win. This one, now our own national asset. Even from your phone, you feel watch out. Just download the free TV app and carry your TV go anywhere you go. Scan that code now or call 0700-388-7277.
Free TV. Digital TV for free. Brought to you by NBC.
Welcome back. It's still P&B Sports Show. I beg your pardon. Reaching live from the nation's capital. And of course, the very insightful Jackson Caleb joining us all the way from the Oyo City, Port Harcourt. Jackson Caleb, good morning. And how is the Oyo City this morning?
Good morning. Port Harcourt is blooming again. You're happy to get moving.
You guys are enjoying the oil alone. They say you eat alone, you die alone. Hope you know that slogan. Eat alone and die alone.
I mean, definitely God created man alone, so everything we have comes to us.
Oh, so you concur to it. You see how greedy human can be, because God, okay, you want to use that one now, no problem. When it times for enjoyment, you can eat alone, but when it comes to suffer, you will not want to you want to spread it. But it's okay, no problem. We agree. We take the challenge. Shevina Wude Abuja. All right, Caleb, let's dive into the conversation. José Mourinho returning back to the ends of affair at the Bernabeu, and what does that signal you? It tells you that these guys mean business. They went 2 seasons trophyless, and they had the likes of after the departure of Ancelotti, they brought in a certain Xabi Alonso, and of course Alonso could not even finish 1 season. He was shown the exit door, and I think Aleboa, or was the other guy named that came in to take over as caretaker manager. But even at that, still they couldn't steady the ship. But looking at what is going on with Real Madrid now, Mourinho, a lot of people are claiming that Mourinho is the only person that can steady that ship. But let me get your thoughts. Mourinho coming back to the ends of affair in the Bernabeu. Do you see a drastic change in that in that regard?
In that regard, definitely there's going to be a drastic change. Coming in from two managers that perfectly handled Real Madrid, they brought in different styles of play. Xabi Alonso handled his team with more on the ball, but the main problem that was lacking in the team at that time was respect. You could see that a lot of players had ego issues, and it often reflected in their playing style on the pitch. We could see Vini sometimes having clashes with Mbappe. We saw recently Chalmeni and Valverde getting into a fight, and then we could even see Jude Bellingham and Vini at some point having some contemplations of fracas on the pitch. So all of that, having those inmates issues, are some of the issues, are some of the reasons that raised eyebrows as to which coach can handle the ego of these players. And definitely, no other person is better when it comes to handling players' ego than Mourinho. We all know how well Mourinho can handle players. We remember the classic highlights of how he treated Samuel Eto'o, how he handled Ibrahimovic, how he handled the likes of Iker Casillas at the time, how he also handled the likes of Mike Mikel Obi. So all these great players have passed through Mourinho. And for a fact, they will tell you that your ego can never be bigger than Mourinho. So Mourinho at this time is the perfect person to steady the ship, because they all seem to have lost focus of the most important thing. The most important task ahead is to win trophy, not just to show ego as your personal player. Madrid is what Madrid is today because of the trophies they have won and the players that have won the trophies. So even if in the legend book, so why not focus more on doing that than trying to get individual awards? And I think no other person to handle these players than Mourinho. And then again, if you look at the previous season, you could see some lackadaisical attitude when it comes to how they play. They are playing for Real Madrid. There's something that someone once said. He said, if you are playing for Real Madrid, you have no other option than to give your best or you leave. And that's what it's going to be with Mourinho. If you can't match up to his standard, then soon enough, they are going to be matching out through the exitors. And I think coming into this season, we are going to see a lot of difference with Mourinho taking over the ship.
Yeah, we're going to see that, and arguably, Real Madrid is one of the best team so far, or club, if I may use that word, so far when it comes to club football. Because imagine 15 title, Champions League title, that's massive. The next person, the next club next to them is I think is it a certain Atletico Madrid also? I can't remember. Juventus, although I can't remember. I believe Liverpool. I know it's 7. Yes, 7. That's the next. So coming behind them is 7. That tells you the kind of record those guys have breaking. They've won this Champions League 3 times, back to back 3 times, and it tells you a lot that going trophyless is something that the management need to worry about. We of course, I want to throw a jab now to Manchester United, because they are not Manchester United hierarchy that can just allow their team to just go down from A to Z. You could see how Manchester United is looking now in I know you'll be very happy, Chelsea, but take from up to 0, they go from up to bottom. I don't like put it. It's bad, because the last time Manchester United even won a trophy, I think it's 2013. That's like 13 years from. Is it 13 now? 13 years from now. I'll be behind. Before now, that's when they won their last Premier League trophy, and since then, it's from one problem to another. But looking at Jose Mourinho and Real Madrid hierarchy. Reportedly, they declared that Federico Untouchable has become the club's most indisputable. Because I'm talking about that because Federico was named as Mourinho's captain. So, looking at it, do you think this is the right way to go? Taking Federico as the captain.
There is no other person to be captain of this team right now than this young man. This young man has played the second most out minutes in the last season for Real Madrid. He played in every single game that Real Madrid went into last season, either starting or coming off the bench, or sometimes not completing the 90 minutes, but somehow Federico Valverde was there. We saw his fantastic display by the hat-trick he scored against Man City. So this young man, apart from the goals and what he brings, his energy, he runs that fancy footwork, you have to forgo them and learn how to run. And that's something that Federico has given to this team. Now, in the last 3 times that Real Madrid has won Champions League, Federico Valverde has played 3 different positions, but people do not know. Everybody just thinks that, oh, how great is this team? The very first time they won it against Liverpool, the last time they won it against Liverpool, I think that was 2022, Federico Valverde played as a right winger. When they did won it against Dortmund, Federico Valverde played as a central midfielder. Even the one before Dortmund that they won, he played the semi-final in right back. So you can see that his versatility to this team is going to help Mourinho a lot, because he's going to have less of selection headaches. By the time he sees that, oh, 1 or 2 players are injured, this man is always going to step up. But we saw what he did for Uruguay. In the game against Cape Verde, you could see how much this young man wanted to deliver. He always took shots, always created chances. There was one time that he got fouled, but instead of waiting for the referee to blow, he stood up and took the shot, which was later. And this is a young man that you would tell me that wants to play for Madrid, and I will say yes, because of the energy he has, because of the passion he puts. And when he celebrates, he does not celebrate because he scored a goal. He celebrates because of the badge that he wears.
Okay.
And that shows the mentality of an elite player.
Okay, going forward, looking at Mourinho was said to have held a private one-on-one meeting with Federico to help him channel his emotion on the pitch. Will this personal mentorship, can you think that Mourinho is being trusted, like he trusted this guy on the field, like to command his troop on the field? Because having him talking to this guy or having a personal meeting with him personally, one-on-one, don't you think that should be his commander on the pitch right now, and he's being trusted with that burden? But with that responsibility, would that be a burden? Will it become a burden to, with this added responsibility, will it become a burden to Federico?
Just like the idiom goes, to whom much is given, much is expected. And definitely we've seen Federico becoming one of the Real Madrid's most trusted men in recent times. So, and then again, Mourinho as a coach, from the clubs that he has managed, he has had his trusted assailants. He's had, at Chelsea, he had John Terry and Mikel to handle the team. At his first time at Real Madrid, he had this same Xabi Alonso, who was the previous coach. And then he had the certain Di Maria, who was always delivering the assist. And then moving forward to Tottenham, he had Heung-min Son and he had Harry Kane. And then coming back to Real Madrid now, there is no other person that you could look around and say, okay, who could pass this message across to the team? Unfortunately, Bellingham was not around as at the time Mourinho came. If not, I feel it would have been a selection heading between himself and Bellingham, because Mourinho is a very huge fan of Bellingham. But I think it is not also a mistake that Valverde is the captain, because if you look at in terms of seniority, Valverde has stayed more than Bellingham in this team and has actually delivered when it matters the most. Not as a disrespect to this Bellingham, but I think right now, in terms of who handles that pressure, who expresses the passion every 9 minutes, I think I would say Valverde should be that man who will be able to channel the energy going forward. And instead of Mourinho feeling much of the pressure, he's trying to give the players a bit of ease of tension. So, okay, go into the game, express yourself. However, I demand a result. So, in as much as you want to play, you are not playing with a freedom. You are playing with a task ahead of you each time. And it's going to be a huge burden on Valverde, because if they win, it's credit to him. And if they lose, it's going to be a huge burden on him. So I feel both ways have an extreme effect on Valverde right now.
Indeed. And going forward, if we want to look at the saga, we want to open it more. Appointing Vinicius Jr. as vice captain is a bold statement, with the leadership role bringing greater maturity and discipline to his game, or could it test his relationship with Mourinho, demanding style. I'm looking at Vinicius Jr. and it was even rumored that probably he want to leave or he will leave Real Madrid. But giving him this huge responsibility as the vice captain, do you think it will be more demanding for Mourinho's style, or do you think it's a relationship that Mourinho want to build between him and Vinicius Jr? Arguably, Vinicius Jr is a fantastic player. There's no two ways about it. But sometimes he could just be unruling on the court. Let me get your take on that.
Yeah, I would not say it's more a relationship thing. The thing is that it's already an established identity with some of the key players, and not just key players, how long they have been in the team. So if you look at the team right now, Vinicius coming in as vice captain also shows that he's an established senior member of this key team right now. I mean, Courtois has been there for the longest of years, but however, I think Mourinho goes more with outfield players, and Vinicius has also delivered. When we talk about a player who wants to deliver, who always wants to put himself out front, it's no other person than Vinicius Jr. So I think it's also going down to his responsibility. This is a test of his responsibility. Can he prove his name? Can he prove his worth to Mourinho and Real Madrid? It's not a time for you to start gallivanting or dancing around with the ball. No one is stopping you from doing what you want to do, but make sure your impact has an extreme result on the team, and it's a positive one, not the one that will make teammates raise eyebrows or will make the media begin to question the choices of the coach. And I think Vinicius Jr. enjoys such opportunities. When you look at his takes, now I think he captained some games of Brazil. He's going to do better, and then he's going to be able to raise his standard of performances, knowing the responsibilities that lie ahead of him.
All right, knowing the responsibility that lies ahead of him. But as we try to wrap up now, with Captain Federico Valverde setting to start alongside new signing Bernardo Silva, I remember you mentioned that name yesterday, who misses out in Madrid's stacked midfield. Who do you think will miss out? Could this mark the beginning of the reduced role for Chouamini or Eduardo Cavanga? Do you think it will be a reduced responsibility or reduced role for these guys that have been there before now, with the introduction of Bernardo Silva?
Now, coming into the Real Madrid team, I think we've had 4 key signings. Remember, when Xabi Alonso came, he made 3 key signings. One was Alvaro Carreras. We had Alexander Arnold, and then we also had Mastantuano. Now, looking at the signings that Mourinho has brought in, and we had Dean Huijsen. Now, Xabi Alonso brought in 4 key signings. Now, Mourinho brought in 4 signings, and the signings are playing in the positions that Xabi Alonso brought his own signing. Now, that's where the selection headache comes in. Now, Dumfries, we are looking to see more of Dumfries than Alexander Arnold. We are also looking to see more of Konate, which is my biggest fear. Konate has not yet solidified himself for me as a starting centre-back in Real Madrid. So I think he's going to have to prove to everyone now that he's who he says he is. Because looking at his performances, his little glimpses in the World Cup, they were not convincing. In fact, he considered 4 goals in 45 minutes. That alone goes to show you that coming into Real Madrid, there are a lot of loopholes to be exploited. And he's definitely going to have to work on those loopholes if he's going to cement his place as a starter. Now, to Marc Cucurella, who just joined Real Madrid, yet to be announced, I feel it's also going to be a welcome boost, because Vinicius Jr. is definitely going to like a left back who can both attack and defend. I think someone who covers more grounds and be able to always link up with the attackers. And that's something that Marc Cucurella brings to the team. His ability to link up with the attackers gives the team multiplicity of attacking options. And then, looking at Bernardo Silva, I'm really not so impressed with the Bernardo Silva. Why? Because, like I said earlier, Bernardo Silva is an energy player. But when you're looking for specifics in the creativity, you don't get to see the peak from Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva could actually pull something out of the sleeves. He could pick the rabbit out of the hat. But then again, Real Madrid would want to test the consistency out of you. Sometimes you may be very good at what you do, but being at Real Madrid and the pressure it comes with, can you deliver consistently? You may be able to do it today, and they may be looking for another thing. Looking at Mourinho, I think we might see Bellingham drop the bar and Valverde play alongside. So it's going to be like a 4-3-3 flat midfield. However, it's going to cause Camavinga in particular much harm because we might still get to see Chalmers play a little bit of game time. But I highly doubt Camavinga might also share the pitch alongside with these guys. But you know, there are a lot of competitions that go on, like the Copa del Rey, the Super Cup, the Espana there. So when you have these cups going on, this is where we might now see Camavinga getting small time, Adagula getting little minutes, Mastantuano getting small time if they are not being sold by January transfer window, which I'm sure Mourinho might be looking to sell some of them. However, I don't know why Florentino Perez has blocked the move for Rodri to come to Madrid. To me, it seems like a political manifesto because Requirement, who was his opponent, actually made a move for Rodri that if he wins, he will do all it takes to bring Rodri. And I feel Rodri is the revelation that Jose Mourinho needs. At least he needs a stable engine to keep every other player in check. But however, I think Chalmers has improved coming in from the last season. We've been able to watch him and we can say that, okay, he's a different breed of player. Even his average rating in the games has improved. So I think we might need to see a more of a diamond midfield. Chalmers sitting deep, Bellingham to the left, Valverde to the right, and Bernardo Silva at the helm of the diamond. Then we have Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. leaving those two up front. I think that's the best way for Real Madrid to play going into this season, for all of these players to function in the same space and midfield together.
Indeed, and I think my own opinion, though, bringing Jude Bellingham deep down, I think is going to cut out this explosiveness. You know what? You saw what he did in the World Cup. Just allow him to go there. He score goals. He's fantastic. But putting him deep down, I think is going to cut some kind of explosiveness of Vinicius Jr. But unfortunately,
Just remember, even Rashford, Mourinho is not one of those players that plays with a lot of tactical style. He is a tactical maestro, but he doesn't play with a lot of tactics. He plays more with structure. Like he can say today we are going man for man in the game. Let's forget 4-3-3, and that 4-3-3 may not work. So he just tells you, okay, let's use this structure today. And sometimes it may affect the playing style of some particular players, which we may most likely see in the next season. But however it is, we hope to see the best of Real Madrid this season.
All right, we hope to see the best of Real Madrid. That's the best place to leave it. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. What a fascinating discussion it's been with Jose Mourinho.